I think Steve Sarkisian lost this game for Texas. I don't believe that the head coach of the Longhorns put the team in a position to win. Now, as long as they have the Big 12 patch on the jersey, I can still talk about their games and break them down as a Big 12 team. They have left us, and I do not believe that Texas is a part of the Big 12 right now. I don't consider them to be a team that I am rooting for because of their Big 12 affiliation. But I can tell you, I'm happy to talk about their loss. And I'm happy to tell you that this was Steve Sarkisian, who, by the way, you want a fun fact? This is when you go to work and your buddy's like, hey, you watch that Texas game and you need one fun fact to tell him. You say, yeah, I did. And Steve Sarkisian has one win against top 10 teams while at Texas. Charlie Strong had two. That's right, Charlie Strong. And you know what? I think Steve Sarkisian's story is great. I think Steve Sarkisian has a build-up in his career that is going to be a wonderful documentary one day. But documentaries don't win you football games, especially against Washington, who he is 0-4 against. Steve Sarkisian lost this game because he did not put his team in the right position. Washington played Texas the way Texas played Alabama. There was never a point where Washington did not control this game. Even late, where it looked like Texas was going to win, they had just had a drive that stalled because Steve Sarkisian couldn't put it together when they got to the red zone. And then they said, watch, we'll do it again. Before there was never a point where I thought, Texas should stop running the ball. This is not working out very well for them. And that's maybe the biggest part. Before we even get to the ineptitude at the very end of this ball game, I just want to give you that Texas ran the football pretty damn well and then just didn't do it anymore. They threw the ball 43 times. They ran the ball 28 times. When they ran the ball, it was 6.4 yards per carry. As you know, 3 yards per play gets you a first down. You win the football game. It's how Air Force does it every game. 28 carries, 180 yards, and 3 touchdowns on the ground. You would think that team would keep running the ball. Now, Washington's secondary is not elite. So I understand why Texas would want to throw the ball with Quinn Ewers, but also it's Quinn Ewers. And I need Steve Sarkisian to understand something. Quinn Ewers is not an elite quarterback. There are 5 to 10 elite quarterbacks in college football, and Quinn Ewers is not one of those. 24 for 43, maybe even 15, and he's still not one of those. Still wasn't in the Heisman conversation. Of his 24 completions, he threw for 318 yards, 7.4 yards per pass. Now, look, I want to give you those two numbers. 7.4 yards per pass per completion is more than 6.4 yards per carry. But think about when you throw the ball, it's going deeper downfield. So 6.4 yards per carry is pretty darn impressive, and 24 for 43 is not. And then at the end of the game, where you just need Quinn Ewers to throw the ball at the pylon and Texas wins the game, he doesn't. Steve Sarkisian put too much pressure on Quinn Ewers, who fell apart, who wasn't good, who wasn't confident in the biggest moment. Who didn't make the play in the big? If he was confident in this, you see many times Ewers just chunked the ball out of bounds. Yeah, I'm just going to throw it up high, throw it out of bounds, and whatever. Not only that, there came a point in this game where they flashed the camera to Matthew McConaughey, who's sitting on the side. Matthew McConaughey's on the sideline, not just like in the end zone, hanging out with the rest of his buddies. He's with 3 players near the bench. What are you doing not running the football? What are you doing with late game clock management? Why is Matthew McConaughey on the sideline talking to players in the middle of the game and giving them pep talks when they should be talking to coaches or staff or other players or literally anybody who is not the actor Matthew McConaughey? At what point do you address how bad the secondary is? At what point do you admit to yourself who Quinn Ewers is and decide to just run the football with multiple good running backs? At what point do you stop? At what point do you change something with the secondary? What is it? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Let's just do, our secondary will figure it out at some point. Penix was just nails. His receivers were nails, and the secondary was nowhere to be seen. And the only way that Texas, with such a bad secondary, could stop Washington was getting pressure, putting pressure on Michael Penix Jr. And they couldn't even do that with their world-class NFL-caliber defensive line. To me, you saw so many creative stunts from the Michigan defense against Alabama, if you watched that game. To me, felt like Washington established the line of scrimmage, which I did not expect. And Texas, in all, was unprepared. There should not have been a scenario in this game where Washington controlled the game or did not feel, or there shouldn't have been a time where Washington didn't feel like, you know what, Texas could legitimately get up by double digits. I pictured in my head that this game would be, Texas is up by 3 or 7 at halftime, and they get the ball, and you just know that at some point they're going to break this one open and get up by 17, and Washington's going to have to fight back, and they won't be able to fight back because the Texas defense is too good up front. And there was never a point where I was ready for UT to get out way ahead, where I felt like, all right, shoot. They've got control. They got the bull by the horns. No, it reminded me a lot of the Alabama game where Alabama was playing from behind and Alabama was trying to play catch up. That's what this was. Except for this one, Texas was Alabama, Washington was Texas, and overall, Washington actually dominated the game. And if not for an injury there late, there wouldn't have been a real chance for Texas to come back. Kalen DeBoer outcoached Steve Sarkisian. I didn't think I'd have to say that sentence this year, last year, ever in my life. But it's true. Steve Sarkisian lost this game for Texas. They were unprepared, and now, still, he trails Charlie Strong for most top 10 wins while at Texas. Where is Charlie Strong, by the way? I don't know. That's how bad that stat is. Here on Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by LinkedIn Talent Solutions. LinkedIn Talent Solutions is where I go to hire interns. I have been off for holiday, dude. I feel bad. This is bad. This is a bad story. I've been off for holiday, and I've gotten a couple of emails from people, drake.c.toll@gmail.com, about jobs, a possibility of interning with me, and I would love for you to do that. I need one of those. I can send you the LinkedIn link because I do the LinkedIn thing. If you just send me an email again, I wiped it for the new year. As we start the new year, I can tell you the LinkedIn Jobs is the place to go to make a hire fast and free. It's not just another job board. They have billion people who use this thing. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn #1 in delivering quality hires versus the leading competitors. They know small businesses are wearing so many hats that they want to help you and make the process quick, easy, intuitive. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege, linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Keep in mind terms and conditions. They do apply.